Honorable Men Discord, scandal in Major League Baseball. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new, I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And by all means, if you have something you'd like to share, I'll see you in the comment section. So let's get straight to it. A scandal broke in Major League Baseball. Is this big news to me? No, but we'll get into it in a few. This scandal has to do with betting on games. All right. And although I don't watch baseball as much as I used to when I was younger, this was interesting to me because when I remember watching baseball, the biggest scandal was Pete Rose. And for those of you that don't know who Pete Rose is, he was a manager for the Cincinnati Reds. And it was discovered that he had been betting on games. And I believe he was betting on games for, of his own team, which was the biggest scandal because it showed that for the first time when I was younger, it showed that games, sports, professional sports, there's a, for lack of a better way of expressing it, there's a dirty side to sports where unfortunately it shows that there's a potential, there's potentially people getting paid to either let games go one way or let it go another way. And that's something that you don't really want to see in professional sports, because as fans, you'd like to believe that when your team wins, it was a justified win. It was a deserved win. You don't, or when your team loses, you want to believe that it was done fairly. So when Pete Rose was caught for gambling and betting on baseball, it was disheartening because you said to yourself, damn, there's people out there that that basically they rig the games, right? And as sports fans, we want to believe that our teams go out there, these players go out there and they give it their all, and whatever the results are, it was done fairly and honestly. But here we are now in 2025, and Major League Baseball, again, to my knowledge, this is the second time in my lifetime that I've heard something like this. The first time was Pete Rose. Now we have two pitchers that are involved in a scandal in Major League Baseball. Both pitchers, and I have their names, so I don't want to mispronounce the names. The first pitcher is Luis Ortiz of the Cleveland Guardians, and the second one is Emmanuel Class, who's also a pitcher. Now, they were both indicted for rigging games, all right? Now, if you're unfamiliar with the story, let's take a listen and a look at the news report, and we'll talk about it further.
Tonight, a bombshell rocking the baseball world with an explosive new indictment unsealed today, charging two Cleveland Guardians pitchers in connection with an alleged bet-rigging scheme.
I think it's huge. First reaction was shock.
Prosecutors say Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz intentionally threw balls instead of strikes on certain pitches in exchange for bribes or kickbacks from sports bettors. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York saying it started as early as May 2023, first with Clase before Ortiz joined. The pair are charged with conspiracy, fraud, bribery, and more. Prosecutors writing in part that the players illegally enriched themselves and their co-conspirators misled the public and betrayed America's pastime.
They undermine the integrity of the sport as a whole. And if people break the most widely known rule in all of baseball, they should suffer the consequences.
The Guardian saying we will continue to fully cooperate in the investigation. Major League Baseball writing our investigation is ongoing. This comes on the heels of other gambling scandals like last month's arrest of a Portland Trail Blazers coach and Miami Heat guard for alleged poker and betting schemes. Authorities say both Clase and Ortiz have been on paid leave since July when the investigation started. Today, Ortiz's attorney releasing a statement denying the charges and vowing to fight the case. NBC News has reached out to Clase's team but have not yet heard back. On Monday, the players will make their first appearance in federal court for a hearing. Stephen Romo, NBC News.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.
So there you have it. This is interesting to me because I'll be honest with you, not just Major League Baseball, but basketball, football. I've always believed that certain games, depending on how the officials call games, I always wondered, was this game rigged? And any of you that are sports fans out there watching this episode, have you ever watched a game where it just seems like the referees, and I know this is not just about referees, but I'm bringing this up as an example. Have you ever watched a game where you said to yourself, why does it feel like the referees are intentionally damaging the momentum of the game in favor for the other team? I've seen so many basketball games like that where I said to myself, like, how could the referees not see that? And I know this episode is not about the referees, it's about the two pitchers. But as a whole, when it comes to sports, this is really about gambling. And I think this is not a thing of just Major League Baseball. Again, football, basketball. I think these things exist, but it's a matter of whether or not they get caught. All right? Sometimes they get caught, sometimes they don't get caught. But there's legal gambling, and then there's the illegal gambling that we don't know about. You have people betting on games all the time. This is nothing new to this. Now, the fact that the players now, this is not Pete Rose, this is not a manager, the players are involved in gambling, and you say to yourself, why would players take part in gambling if they're already doing well for themselves? I mean, how much does an average MLB player get? You know, I don't know I'll be honest with you, I don't know anything about Luis Ortiz or Emmanuel Class, but they're Major League professional baseball players, so I could only assume that they're doing better than someone who makes a 9-to-5 wage. And I'm saying that to say this. The takeaway from this is no matter the occupation, no matter what the salary is, for some, we may look at others as they have it all and they would never do some of the things that we think is unspeakable. But in a world, or I should say in a country, where money rules, money's everything. Like Wu-Tang said, cash rules everything around me. In a country where cash rules everything around me, I'm not surprised that this news report came out. I'm really not surprised. I was surprised when it happened back in 1989 with Pete Rose, but I'm not surprised in 2025 because I don't know about any of you watching this episode. Everything I see on social media is money driven. It's money driven. So it doesn't surprise me in the least that professional players are involved in gambling when they themselves are well off and there's no need for them to gamble. But again, we live in a country where cash rules everything. We live in a country that is impacted by greed. And we could agree to disagree, and I'll gladly see you in the comment section if you disagree with me. But we live in a world, in a country where greed is king. And if I'm wrong, prove me wrong in the comments. But greed is king. People respect wealth, and those that don't have much, the have-nots, that don't have a huge wealth, they don't necessarily get respected. And it's an unfortunate thing because there's more to human beings than the money they have. But unfortunately, growing up in this country, money is power. Why would these baseball players decide to do this? I don't have the slightest clue. They would have to speak for themselves and answer that question. But the takeaway is, no one is above making mistakes. It was a big mistake that they chose to do. They most likely potentially may ruin their professional career with the MLB and their family. It's almost like they disgrace their family. It's embarrassing to have your family and friends find out that you're involved in gambling and you're a professional player. You know how hard it is to become a professional player in any sport? Football, basketball, baseball, so on and so forth, NHL. And then to be one of the few, be part of that small percentile of people that actually go on to become professional, and then find yourself involved in a money scheme. It's unfortunate. So I'll leave you with this. We all have decisions that we make throughout life. Do your best to make the right decision. It may not be the decision that is glamorous. It may not be the decision that maybe some of your peers may not agree with. Maybe some of your peers may pressure you into making bad choices. But just understand that some of the choices that we choose to make may not be in our best interest. Sometimes we make choices based on the short gain, and we don't really consider the long-term loss. Sometimes when you're trying to do things because you want that quick money or you want that extra money, you don't realize what's at stake. And trust me when I tell you, I'm saying that from experience, without going into detail. Make better decisions. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, because I'm definitely not perfect. Just learn from these things that we see on the news and throughout the world. But if you want to challenge me on whether or not this world is about money first and everything second, I'll see you in the comments, because that's all I see in 2025. Tell me if you see something else. But that's all I have on this episode. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell his tell their family member, tell their work bestie, or whatever you want to call it. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern time, and I appreciate all of you. And as always, stay honorable.